Okay, it is time to keep rabbits out of this pasture. That's up next. Hello everyone, this is Dwayne with Edge of Nowhere Farm, and we're coming to you. It's actually a cloudy, rainy morning, the end of August 2020. So today is August 29th, 2020, and we are getting ready for our pasture broiler chickens to be on the farm here in the next couple of months. So here in Arizona, it's a lot different from the rest of the country. We're flip-flopped when it comes to our best season as far as when we have our broiler chickens on the farm, and that's during the winter. So we typically go do a fall batch and we do an early spring batch, so they have the best chance of survival here in the desert. So now, obviously with that, we also need to make sure that they've got someplace that's protected. We do keep them in chicken tractors, but this pasture behind me will not only have our broiler chickens, it will also have our laying hens in it from time to time so they can get some pasture time each day. Now, a couple things that we need to ensure. The first thing, of course, would be that we don't have predators easily getting into this pasture area. Now, it's only a 5-foot fence. We're gonna have to do something up here at the top, but that's not for today. What we're focusing on today is protecting and reinforcing the bottom. We're gonna be establishing pasture back behind this fence first. Because we're gonna be doing that, we need to ensure that we don't have rabbits getting in and consuming all of that new fresh vegetation that's gonna be popping up here over the next month or so. So the first thing we need to do is make sure that we don't have rabbits being able to get underneath here. Now, we have a couple different types of rabbits. We have cottontail rabbits and we also have jackrabbits. So we need to make sure we're taking both of those into account. Now, the jackrabbits I'm not as concerned about. The larger gaps they will get through, but those cottontails, I'll tell you what, all they need is enough space for that little tiny head to get through, and they'll squeeze through there to get to vegetation. So what we're gonna do in order to make sure they can't get in is we're gonna be utilizing something that we've shown you before. So this is 3-foot tall, 100-foot rolls of 1/2-inch hardware cloth. So we picked these up from Home Depot. I think they were about 110, 115 bucks. We've got about 250 feet or so that we know we're gonna need to be able to get this around, so I think we should have plenty of that. So of course, in order to be utilizing this, a couple things to make sure that I'm not getting cut up and neither is Lori. We'll have glasses on, we're gonna be using leather gloves, and we will be using tin snips in order to cut this to size. In addition, we have hog ring pliers. We've got these in our Amazon shop. These have actually done really well. I think these came with 200 actual hog rings, and we did buy another 500 for this project here today. So that's the materials that we're gonna be using. Now, a couple things I wanna point out. The gates, we did have them install a threshold underneath the gates, and we have it so that that gate is just above the threshold. We did reinforce those corners. We may still need to come back to that, but we know we're not going to need to be putting this in those areas because coyotes will not be able to dig under that threshold and neither will rabbits. We're going to be taking the 3-inch hardware cloth. We're going to leave about 18 to 24 inches up above. We want to make sure that rabbits can't squeeze through here. So it'll be a little bit higher up here, and then you're gonna see we're actually gonna be bringing it out about a foot or so from the fence and burying it slightly underground. That will keep rabbits and coyotes from being able to dig right here and get underneath the fence. It'll make more sense when you see it. Now, we've got very hard dirt. I do not wanna try to shovel a few inches of dirt back through this whole thing. So what we're gonna be utilizing is something that'll make this job a little bit easier. So this is the machine that I'm gonna actually be using in order to get about a foot or so dug away from the front of this fencing. So this we also have in our Amazon shop. I don't remember the price on these, between 100 and 150 bucks. We've used this now for a couple years. We actually used it to establish our old pasture, about 5,000 square feet of pasture on the old farm. We've utilized it here for a couple different things, and we're gonna utilize it here again today. So what we're gonna do is utilize this to basically dig a small trench across the front. You'll be able to see it here in a time lapse in just a second. And I think I was talking about the hardware cloth and said it was 3-inch tall. It's actually 3 feet tall. So to clarify, that's 3-foot tall hardware cloth. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get this guy going. It is electric, so we've got a couple extension cords attached to the house. Get to work getting this trench dug. So we got that done. Now, learned a couple things. Number one, it's really sweaty when it rains here in August in Arizona. Second thing is, word to the wise, when you're using a tiller next to a chain link fence, don't run it towards the fence. That's a bad idea. If I can get the video, I'll put it up here for you, but I decided to go ahead and try to tear our fence apart with that little tiller. Luckily, it didn't get too far up the fence before we figured it out, and we were able to bend most of those links back. But you can see we went back through and actually just used a flat shovel to pull back a good inch or so of ground. And now what we need to do is we need to get our hardware cloth laid out. So this is 100 feet of hardware cloth, and I know we've got about 100 feet, give or take, to go down this way in order to get down to the end. So we're gonna go ahead and unroll this, and the goal will be to get it all laid down on the ground and not roll back up on itself. So we'll see if we can get that accomplished, and then we'll come back to you and show you how we're gonna attach this. Now we're ready to go ahead and get the hardware cloth attached to the fence. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go up about 2 feet, which is about where this bracket is at, and then we're gonna basically keep it consistent across the chain all the way down so it's the same height. So that should give us about 2 feet, give or take, maybe a few inches shorter than that, and about a foot down here. Now you may wanna add more out here, especially if you have softer dirt. We have very hard dirt, and we did this around the coop and run area and found out very, very quickly that nothing is gonna be digging down underneath this. In addition, we're also gonna be piling wood chips up against this fence. We'll have a good 8 to 10 inches of wood chips that'll also be covering all of this. So it'll definitely be very predator proof underneath the bottom of this fence. And of course, rabbits won't be able to get in either. So Lori and I are gonna go ahead and get started. Now we are gonna be using this pair of hognose pliers. They're very inexpensive. We've got them in our Amazon shop. I think they're like 10 or 15 bucks. Comes with 200 hog rings, which is a good amount. We also bought another 500 hog rings, so we've got plenty for the project that we're working on today. And they're 3/4 inch galvanized rings. We got the top row connected, so we're nice and straight all the way down. Looks really good. I'm guessing we have a little over a foot that's gonna extend out here. We're gonna bury this here in just a moment. But before I do that, I wanna go ahead and secure the bottom of the hardware cloth to the fence. And I wanted to show you really quick how to use these hog pliers. So if Lori slides in, what you do is you actually open them up, and there's a little channel on the inside on both sides here, and that's actually where your hog ring fits. So it fits in just like that, if you can make that out. And then what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna go ahead and attach it here. I wanna attach this one down as low as I possibly can. So it looks like the easiest thing for me to do is gonna be to reach this one here. So you can see what I'm gonna do, get it that way. I'm gonna go through, kind of diagonally, through these two pieces, that kind of a square right here of this hardware cloth. So I'm able to catch the chain link in the back, and then I close that down just like that. Hopefully you can pick that up really well. And I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it nice and tight. And you can see that now will not go anywhere. Now it does give, so you can see it'll still slide around, but it won't actually allow this to detach from the fence. So it'll give with the fence just like this, but it won't come apart. So now, of course, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and get the bottom of this connected all the way down. So we're gonna go all the way down this fence again. We are done with that. So you get an idea what that looks like. You can see I've got plenty of space to come back in and fill the dirt over. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get to shoveling. You get an idea now, this is completely sealed up. Now we're gonna have probably a good 8 to 10 inches of wood chips that are gonna be out. Actually, they're gonna go all the way out because we're gonna have our citrus orchard behind me here. So we'll have a solid 8 to 10 inches of wood chips that go all the way across to those trees. So in addition to having a couple inches of dirt on top of this, we'll have that material above it as well. So one other shot I wanted to give you, and we'll wrap up for today. Okay, so I wanted to give you a view from inside the pasture. So as we have chickens and whatnot going through here, because we may have a few other types of birds in here as well, but chickens at least, they can still come in here, they can still scratch, dig after bugs, do all that kind of stuff down underneath here, but they also are not going to be able to get underneath this fencing. So in addition to protecting them from the outside and keeping predators from coming from the outside in, it keeps the chickens from coming from the inside out. Looking over to the other side of the pasture, there's just huge gaps underneath this fence that we obviously still need to get to. But for today, this is going to be a wrap. So just want to thank you for joining us today. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Questions or comments, leave those in the comment section down below. Instagram and Facebook, we post content there you won't see here on the YouTube channel. And our Amazon shop, I'll leave a link down in the description. That's a free, painless way to help support the channel. If you start with that link, it doesn't matter what you buy, you help to support us here. Oh, and one more thing, if you haven't checked it out, take a peek at our Healthy Farm Living channel. I'll leave a link down in the description for you as well. That is the channel where we talk about all the things inside the farmhouse that we do to stay healthy. So just want to thank you for joining us today and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you. Let's get inside. Oh man, it's hot.